What happens when family trees don't branch? When generations fold into themselves again and again, until identity blurs and biology begins to collapse. Across the United States, in places as isolated as the Ozark Mountains and as unexpected as suburban New York, women have been born into bloodlines too tangled for nature to forgive. This isn't fiction. These are real lives, silenced, stunted, and shaped entirely by incestuous lineage. The stories you're about to read aren't myths or cautionary tales from the past. They are documented cases of genetic entrapment. Women hidden by families, forgotten by society, and bearing the physical and psychological marks of generations of inbreeding. Ruby Ann Carter was born in 1963 in the southern Ozarks of Missouri, but her birth was never registered. She came into the world in a collapsing shack with no electricity, delivered by a woman who was both her grandmother and her great-aunt. Ruby's parents were first cousins, and their parents had been full siblings, effectively doubling her inherited DNA. She was born with microcephaly, a tiny misshapen skull, a clenched jaw, and hands so malformed they remained curled shut her entire life. She never learned to speak or walk. Instead, Ruby was tied with sheets to a rusted child's cot and hidden in the back room, rarely seen by anyone outside the family. When Ruby was 12, a doctor visiting the home to treat another child stumbled upon her by accident. What he saw was described in his report as a living ghost. Ruby was skeletal, immobile, and incapable of even basic communication. Although child services were notified, the Carters disappeared into the hills before an intervention could be made. Ruby was never found again. Her existence survives only in fragments, sealed court files, unverified medical notes, and the haunted memories of neighbors. She would be 61 today if she survived. Emma Jean Dale was born in the 1980s into a secretive polygamist sect in Utah, an offshoot of the fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Her mother was the 12th wife of the sect's leader, and her father was also her maternal uncle. In this tightly controlled community, Emma Jean's genetic tree wasn't just closed, it was looping in on itself. She had two grandmothers who were sisters and two grandfathers who were the same man. Raised behind compound gates, Emma Jean never attended public school, never visited a doctor, and by the age of 10, had already stopped speaking. Her legs were bowed, her jaw misaligned, and her vision severely impaired. In 2008, a federal raid on the compound revealed Emma Jean, 28 years old, living in a windowless basement room with 3 other disabled relatives. She had no legal ID, no education records, and no official existence in the eyes of the state. Genetic testing confirmed extreme inbreeding spanning multiple generations. Though she was placed in a state-run care facility, Emma Jean remained developmentally frozen. She smiles, sometimes laughs, but she has never spoken again. Harper Louise Green's case is more recent and far more disturbing in its origins. She was born in 2005 in upstate New York, not in a hospital, but in a roadside motel outside Buffalo. Her mother was 16, the daughter of a woman who had briefly escaped a cult before rejoining it, and Harper's father was her own grandfather. This wasn't discovered immediately. Harper was born with fused toes, a cleft palate, and hydrocephalus, a condition that caused fluid to build up in her skull. Her hearing was severely impaired, and her heartbeat irregular. Doctors grew suspicious and, after ordering a full genetic screening, uncovered one of the most shocking cases of incest they had seen. The child was the product of a grandfather impregnating his own daughter, who was herself a result of previous incest. By age 4, Harper was nonverbal, could not walk unassisted, and required constant care. Her grandfather and mother were both prosecuted, the mother treated as both victim and accomplice. Harper was placed in a long-term pediatric care facility where she remains today, a silent, delicate body with a face that speaks volumes. Her story is not folklore. It's happening right now, behind locked doors and forgotten files. These aren't isolated tragedies. They're systemic failures of families, of communities, and of institutions that turn away. These women didn't choose their stories, but they are living them, and their names, once erased or hidden, now speak louder than ever.